The supreme, profound, and sublime Dharma is difficult to encounter in a billion eons. Now I see it, hear it, receive it, and kept it. I vow to attain the true meaning of the Tathagata. In order to liberate all sentient beings, let us generate supreme bodhicitta.
Now let's look at the teaching given by Phuntsok Rinpoche, the Buddha, and the Dharma. In the afternoon, Yijinur will give a public talk about Buddhism. On this auspicious occasion, he said that I'd like to say a few words from the bottom of my heart. All of us present here today have obtained the perfect and excellent human existence. And as humans, we have a more superior level of courage, power, and intelligence that animals do not, in ways of benefiting ourselves and avoiding all harm. Each of us, we should contemplate that we are very different than animals or other forms of life. So as a human being, to recognize that we are reborn as humans, we should treasure this existence. These two things, being born as humans and the advantage of a human rebirth, are what we should be aware of from the very beginning. Since now we have attained a supreme human body with intelligence, we should not waste our lives meaninglessly, like an animal not knowing what is good and what is bad. Rather, we should try every possible means to seek benefit and avoid suffering. In fact, the majority of the human sufferings are created by ourselves. Seeking benefit is the shared nature of all beings. No matter who we are, we will be overjoyed when attaining happiness and heartbroken when we encounter suffering. No one likes pain and suffering while disliking happiness and pleasure. Except for a few individuals, almost every person is actively searching for ways and methods to acquire happiness. The exceptions usually are the great bodhisattvas who wish only happiness for sentient beings and would happily take up the suffering for themselves, the sentient beings suffering for themselves. However, among those who do not follow any religious belief, most of them are just bustling around day and night to avoid obvious harm and run after petty profits. Some of you who really wish to benefit sentient beings, you should then make aspiration to go to places where Dharma is not prosperous, and then make the aspiration to benefit sentient beings by propagate the Dharma over there. Their way of seeking happiness seems non-inferior as that of animals. Instead, those who truly understand how to seek genuine peace and happiness are mostly religious believers. Majority of the non-religious personnel, they only would be squandering their life in, for example, playing games and get food delivery and don't even want to go out at all. So we can see that religious beliefs are still really important. Phuntsok Rinpoche rather gave a very grand overview, so that whenever we give teachings or speak to a different crowd, to people of different religions, then we should learn from Phuntsok Rinpoche's way of propagating the Dharma and giving teachings. This is very skillful of him. Instead of asking people to be converted to Buddhism and so on, Phuntsog Rinpoche rather give a very grand overview of how religions are really important at the very beginning. Phuntsog Rinpoche, though this was his first time going to the West, but it seems that he adopted the Westerners' way of learning and Westerners' way of the best way for the Westerners to listen to him. For those of us who stayed maybe in the West even for a period of time, it would still be difficult for them to give Dharma teachings. So we should learn from Phuntsog Rinpoche's way of giving teachings. In the world, there are three major religions: Christianity, Islam, and Buddhism, as well as a great number of other religious traditions. Among all these religions, some only try to pursue the well-being of the present life, and some dedicate themselves to the benefit and happiness of both this and future lifetimes, and some, however, focus more on happiness of the future lifetimes than that of the present life. So there are about over 2,000 different kinds of schools of belief and religious traditions. Some people are interested in following a tradition. It is necessary to carefully examine the advantages and disadvantages of each religion before deciding which one to follow, because nowadays it seems that there are people who would want to join certain religion just because they are beneficial to for their children to enter certain schools, or it is easy for them to receive different kinds of benefits and help from the religious group. But this is rather quite foolish, because they're really looking just for the benefit they can receive from a religious group, but that benefits and advantages are not religion. Otherwise, it is unlikely that any benefit will be derived if one chooses to casually embrace a religion without knowing anything about it. There is no doubt that within the doctrines of the three major religions, as well as those of the many other traditions, there are a lot of methods to pursue happiness and avoid suffering. This is commonly recognized and commonly acknowledged. It says that some religions achieve peace and happiness for this and future lifetimes by praying to their Creator. Some obtain happiness in this way, in this life, by worshipping the sun, moon, Mahashvara, or Ganesha. Some seek temporary benefits and ultimate happiness by taking refuge in the three jewels. Basically, most religions are quite similar in requesting their followers to have faith in their own deities and pray to them, and to have firm conviction in their doctrines. Many religions, in fact, majority of them, require the believers to have firm conviction, firm faith in their doctrines. However, it is necessary to ponder and analyze thoroughly and in depth whether the founder of each religion possesses the valid knowledge that is never deceptive, and whether the doctrine each founder preaches is free of any faults. This is such an important key to remember. We ourselves also need to make observation whether or not that founder or the doctrine holds any faults. Also, you need to look for the intention of taking belief in any religion, because each of the religious beliefs that they would proclaim that they are the most wonderful, and they are of and they possess different kinds of power that could let you be wealthy, be famous, and so on. But you need to look into whether each doctrine and each founder is free of any faults. Someone may wonder, what are the differences among the founders of various religions? Some of them focus only on their own benefit and well-being of their retinues and followers. Ponzo Rinpoche over here firstly talked about the differences of religion from the difference of the doctrine, and then over here is the difference of the founder of each religion, and then the doctrine of each religion. At the very beginning, I thought that, well, is Ponzo Rinpoche repeating himself too much in these few paragraphs? But then when I looked into it more closely, I realized that he was talking about each different religion from different perspectives. So some of them focus on their own benefit and the well-being of their own retinues and followers, and in order to achieve their goals, they would harm the rest of the majority of sentient beings. Some then consider the benefit of all human beings while ignoring other types of living beings. And then some benefit not only humans, but all sentient beings. They endeavor to protect each and every being from harm and suffering. And not only that, they hold the principle of cherishing others more than themselves and constantly strive to bring benefit to others. This is definitely from the Mahayana point of view. Such being the case, is this better to focus completely on one's own welfare and the welfare of those who are like-minded, or is it better to strive to benefit both self and others? This is a question worth reflecting upon. Ponzo Rinpoche again adopted more of a Westerner's way of thinking. He presented questions and presented different options to the Westerners and asking them to contemplate upon it by themselves. If a person is selfish, is this person better, or is a person who is altruistic better? So he presented the different views. Regarding the doctrines of different religions, some encourage their followers to harm other sentient beings for the sake of personal benefit as well as their associates. Some advocate harming other beings in order to benefit human beings, and some urge followers to benefit infinite sentient beings extensively and equally and save them from harm and suffering. All these three types of doctrines which make more sense and is more appealing to us. Again, this requires deep reflection. There also are some religions quite new in this world, founded by individuals based on their own conceptual thoughts. If analyzed by proper reasoning, their doctrines do not stand up for examination and full of faults and contradictions. There are people who nowadays have a little bit of fame and a little bit of power. They would then start their new religion, their completely different religion. This happens quite often in India and in various places in the US as well. Sometimes I think it may be better to have a bit of a restriction in terms of religion. Otherwise, all kinds of religions will pop up. These kinds of religions cannot be regarded as authentic, sacred religions. On the other hand, some religions originated in the world thousands of years ago, and their doctrines stand up perfectly well to analysis and examinations throughout history. Hence, they are reliable and sacred traditions. All these aspects of various religions should be carefully, deeply, meticulously studied before we decide to follow any of them. Otherwise, selecting one in haste or only according to which religion is more influential, more powerful, cannot bring us much benefit at all. As a Tibetan saying goes, it's like a hungry dog meeting a lump, or seeing this piece of flesh. It doesn't, so the dog doesn't wait to sniff whether it even smells good or not, but just swallows it in one gulp. Likewise, joining any religion discriminately is truly a wise act. Usually, before the teaching in a traditional way, Ponzo Rinpoche would expound on the importance of choosing the teacher. But over here, he presented in this way that one should discriminate the religion carefully before entering into entering that religion or that tradition is a truly wise act. nowadays, young people and the modern people nowadays don't have much time to do that, and they would enter into all kinds of religion hastily. Some religions throughout history, we can see that though that they may have some retinues and followers, but they brought only bloodshed in the human history. War, conflicts are very much related to religion nowadays. When I went to Jerusalem, I definitely see that influence. I went to many different places, but Jerusalem was the place that really made me contemplate upon it. When I arrived there, and I had this feeling that if we were to be reborn over there, that kind of conflict and harm and suffering is unspeakable. If you were to make a wrong choice in terms of the religion, then the results could be quite harmful. Now that we're studying the five treatises, in fact, you don't necessarily use all the five treatises, all the knowledge that you study from it, but the meaning of it is that you can gain certainty while studying the five treatises, because then you will understand that Buddhist doctrine is not as easy. When you're studying Madhyamika and Buddhist logic and so on, you will be able to understand that it indeed, the Buddha's teaching is quite profound and true. The Buddhist logic, you probably won't be able to use the knowledge, that particular knowledge anywhere else, but the method and the logic behind, you will be able to use it, even apply it in your real life. For example, you don't necessarily use the mathematics that you studied at school, but the logic behind it, you will still use it and apply it in your daily life. And if you don't ever give teachings on the Buddhist logic to the others, and if your parents and family and friends are not interested to listen to those kinds of advanced logical inferences, you will still be able to benefit from that kind of logic yourself. When I was at school, when I was young, I had a booklet just to write down the songs that we've learned. And after learning those songs, I just never looked back at it. But nowadays, though that I've never looked back at those booklets, I still could apply the knowledge and chant mantras, because I had the foundation of music classes before.
那么不教思索的这个如与任何宗教都非常愚痴的，因此呢，你们要通过
So before following any religions that are thriving in the world, you need to learn more about them through the words of their founders and followers. This is such a wonderful teaching. And then we will resume our class tomorrow. We'll continue tomorrow.
Sonamandai Tamche Zubanya Tomna Nibe Jana Panshe Kirga Nanchi Ralon Triba Yi Trebam Sole Drua Drua Sho